right, we're ready to resume the cross-examination of Detective Nieder. Detective, you remain under oath from your previous visit, and you may proceed, Mr. Gonzalez.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Detective Nieder.
Good morning.
So, Detective, obviously we've had some lapse of time here, Thursday till this morning, and to that extent, on Thursday you testified during the state's direct examination about the murder of Joe Rod Adams in 2018, correct?
Yes, sir.
And a witness in this case, Robert Howard, known as Kenny Capps, pled guilty to that murder, correct?
Yes, sir.
You also testified about the Town Center murder also in 2018, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that is an unsolved murder, correct?
Yes, sir.
Reminding you again and making sure I'm correct, you also testified about Adrian Gaynor, the murder that took place in 2019, correct?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Gaynor was killed by a gentleman by the name of Hakeem Robinson, correct?
Yes, sir.
And Adrian Gaynor was not a documented gang member, correct?
I'm not sure of his status.
He was a close friend of Charles Jones, Julio Foolio, correct?
I'm still not sure. If he was a member or an associate of 6 Block, that would be a better question for the 6 Block detective.
Okay. Are you able to testify under oath that he was a close friend of Charles Jones?
Yes, sir. I'll do it. Yes, sir.
And you and I discussed your interpretation of the rap videos, the drill rap videos that were projected and discussed by the state on direct examination, correct?
Yes, sir.
And during the course of that testimony, you gave your interpretation or your opinion as to what certain portions of it meant to you, correct?
Yes, sir.
The video, Who I Smoke, was performed by Young and Ace, correct?
Yes, sir.
And he was, for the music side, that's 187, right? 187 is the music side of Young and Ace's group, correct?
No, sir. That's not. 187 is associated to 1200 Young and Ace's ATK.
I'm sorry, I made a mistake in my individuals. So that would be Spinabens, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so 187 is the music side or the rap side, the production of music for Spinabens group, correct?
I'm not exactly sure what their record production label would be.
Okay. And also in that particular video performing was Wappa with the Choppa, correct?
Yes, sir.
And also Fast Money Goon.
Yes, sir.
And that was released in 2021, right?
Yes, sir.
In providing your opinion on Thursday, you stated that there is a lyrical reference to Charles Jones, Julio Foolio, being shot in Houston in the song, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that is, as I understand it, an unsolved murder. Excuse me, an unsolved shooting.
I believe so. I'm not exactly sure about
Okay.
Houston.
You're not aware of anybody having been arrested. You would probably know that. It would trickle down to you in terms of your investigation, correct? If
Yes,
someone
sir.
had been arrested?
Hopefully it would.
Okay. You're not aware of anybody being arrested and prosecuted in Houston, correct?
I'm not.
And you make also a reference in that song to Trey D, correct?
Yes, sir, they do.
Okay. And you don't know whether or not Trey D is a documented gang member, do you?
I'm not sure of his documentation status. I just know that he's an associate of 6 Block.
And it is an unsolved murder, correct?
I believe so.
I believe that you then talked, or excuse me, testified on direct examination about a another rap video, When I See You, correct?
Yes, sir.
And its lyrics as well, correct?
Yes, sir.
That is a video produced and performed by Julio Foolio, Charles Jones, correct?
Yes, sir.
It was also in 2021, approximately 3 years prior to his murder. You would agree with me?
Yes, sir.
In discussing your opinion about that video, you stated that there was a reference to a murder at the town center way back in 2018, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that particular murder is unsolved as well, correct?
Yes, sir.
There's also a reference to the murder of Avery McKnight. He's also known as Suge in 2021, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that reference is relating, I think you testified, to him being on a bike, correct?
Yes, sir.
Detective, in fact, Avery McKnight was killed on the porch of a house, wasn't he?
Yes, sir.
And he wasn't on a bike, right?
I'm no, sir, I don't believe so.
And this would have happened on Odessa and Franklin, that porch, correct? Not a bike.
Yes, sir.
You know where Odessa and Franklin is, correct?
Yes, sir.
You also testified, Detective, about murders after 2021, correct?
Yes, sir.
You spoke about Jaquan Pickens, whose name is Jake Jitt, that was shot on the interstate in 2023, correct?
Yes, sir.
And this is also an unsolved murder, correct?
Yes, sir.
You talked about the shooting, not the murder, but the shooting of Jacoby Beals, correct?
Yes, sir.
And this is an unsolved murder, correct?
Attempted murder, yes, sir.
Attempted murder, okay. I think you go on in your direct testimony to talk about a couple of others. One would have been of Antonio Tilley in October of 2023, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you were part of that. You were called to the scene by Detective Anderson, who was the homicide detective in that case, correct?
Yes, sir.
In that particular case, a man by the name of Jaquan Mills confessed to that murder, correct?
Yes, sir.
And in fact, Jaquan Mills is not a gang member, is he?
Not to my knowledge.
Truth is that this was a contract killing for $20,000 put up by a guy by the name of Paul Nuke Anderson, correct?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Anderson is in prison for 25 years as a drug trafficker, correct?
Yes, sir.
Detective, the gangs and the videos that we're talking about, the subject matter, I think you've testified to, amounts to what you call trolling, correct?
Yes, sir.
And disrespecting, correct?
Yes, sir.
Even at times celebrating, correct?
Yes, sir.
You talked about also shortly after that murder was the murder of Tilley, correct? Antonio Tilley?
Sure. I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
So, I'm sorry, you don't understand it because I'd already asked you that. Very soon after Tilley's death, Charles Jones, Julio Foolio, was shot at, got hit in the foot, correct?
Yes, sir.
So that was the consequence, or that was the chronology. Mr. Tilley was killed, and then Mr. Jones was shot, correct?
Yes, sir.
And this also is an unsolved shooting, correct?
Yes, sir.
You would agree with me, Detective, that it's no secret, and in fact, your investigations would indicate that of enemies based on his six-block prominence and his disrespect for people that are dead, correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Additionally, Detective, drill rapping about a death doesn't mean that you committed a murder, does it?
That's correct.
And being in the production of a drill rap doesn't mean that you had anything to do with a murder, correct?
Yes, sir.
What it is accomplishing is disrespect to that person or the people that care about that person, correct?
Yes, sir.
Or disrespect to the group or the neighborhood for which that person hung around or grew up in, correct?
Yes, sir.
It also is an attempt to antagonize those people who cared about that person, correct?
Yes, sir.
In essence, it is Young and Ace, the rapper, trolling Julio Foolio, the rapper, or Wappa with the Choppa, the rapper, trolling or antagonizing Charles Jones, Julio Foolio, correct?
Yes, sir.
And this is done for a number of reasons. It's done for clicks, correct? And
Yes.
viewership.
Yes, sir.
And it's also done for the expansion of notoriety for a brand or a person who is a thriving or established rapper, correct?
Yes, sir.
And to further that person's musical fame, even though certain people wouldn't want to derive that type of fame. That is the case, correct?
Yes, sir.
And all of this talk and all of this disrespect, what most people do like is potentially the money and the revenue that is derived from it. You would agree with me?
Yes, sir.
How many gangs are there in Jacksonville?
Approximately 30.
I don't have any further questions. Thank you, Detective.
Very good.
Yes, sir. Excuse me.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I represent Sean Gathright. Detective, you talked today and last week about you're more focused with the ATK gang, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and in your work and investigation into that gang, you never heard Mr.Gathright's name, did you?
That's correct.
Okay. And through your investigations and your work, you are familiar with 1200, which is an alliance, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Gathright's name was not involved in that gang.
Not to my knowledge.
And you also have knowledge of other gangs, specifically Six Block, at a maybe peripheral level,
Yes.
based
Yes,
on
ma'am.
what you do? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Gathright wasn't involved in that gang, to your knowledge?
No, ma'am.
And you just mentioned to Mr. Gonzalez that there's approximately, and we won't hold you to the number, 30 gangs in Jacksonville, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And as far as your work in the gang unit and working with gangs in Jacksonville, you had never heard of Sean Gathright?
That's correct.
You talked last week about there being statutory criteria, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And some of those criteria put somebody as either a member, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Or an associate.
That's correct.
Okay, and Mr. Gathright was on neither of those lists, was he?
Not at the time of this incident.
Okay. Until the time of this incident and the investigation from Tampa, you had never heard the name Sean Gathright.
That's correct.
No further questions. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Petridis?
Good morning, Detective.
Good morning.
I think you mentioned earlier that the bulk of your knowledge from ATK comes from going through the files of your predecessor and going on social media. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And social media gives you a lot of information, but I would assume you need to be careful because doesn't have to be all factual information.
Correct.
In these gangs we're talking about, ATK, 6 Block, 1200, there's no real hierarchy in these gangs. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
And there's no general rules or regulations of these gangs.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Are you aware that ATK is a record label as well?
I'm not sure.
Okay. So they may or may not be, to your knowledge, they may or may not be a record label, have an LLC for their music?
Yes, sir, they could. I'm not aware of that.
Do you know when Charles Jones was documented as a gang member?
I do not.
Do you have any idea, any years, months?
Incident, but I don't know the exact year, time, or anything.
Do you know, the town center shooting was a long time ago, about
Yeah.
8 years ago.
Yes, sir.
Charles
2018.
Jones would have been around 18 at that age. Do you know if he was a gang member around that time?
No, sir. I would imagine, based on my knowledge, he would have at least been an associate, and he represented 6 Block. But I'm not sure of his member status and when he actually became a member of the gang.
Okay. Were you aware of him prior to going into the gang unit?
Yes, sir.
And When I See You and Who I Smoke are both from 2021, correct?
Yes, sir.
And they're not, in those songs, they're making fun of people, but they're not specifically taking credit for those murders. Would you agree?
I would agree.
Would you also agree that when they're making fun of someone or dissing someone for those murders, they're mainly dissing the fact that person is dead, so that the way they died isn't as important?
Yes, sir.
So if they had died, for instance, I know they mentioned Rod K. or Spaz in a car crash, they may still be the subject of one of those songs.
Yes, sir. They're just making fun of the fact that they're deceased.
And a lot of these, you mentioned, or would you agree that a lot of these shootings that occur in Jacksonville that are involving the gangs are both retaliation and for other reasons?
Yes, sir.
Charles McCormick was shot because of a song, correct?
Yes, sir.
And then we saw the Do It video last Thursday. Young and Ace, you were able to see that he's wearing an ATK chain, correct?
Yes, sir.
Is that something he wears frequently?
Yes, sir.
And that's obviously in reference to what you believe to be the gang ATK?
Yes, sir.
A lot of these, the murders we're talking about here today and Thursday happened years ago. Were you aware, and before you were a gang detective, correct?
Yes, sir.
Were you aware of any of these murders?
Yes, sir.
You didn't have any involvement besides the one that we've talked about, correct? The ones, plural,
Yeah, the ones mentioned before.
correct?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
And is it fair to say in a lot of these cases, the witnesses are just uncooperative?
Generally, it's like a 50-50 shot.
And for instance, in Charles Jones, when he was shot in the foot in October of 23, he was uncooperative with police, correct?
To a certain extent.
And is that a main reason why a lot of these remain unsolved?
That and just like lack of evidence.
A lot of the social media and speculation on these songs is a way you were able to claim that these murders are involved in the gang war, correct?
Yes, sir.
And 3 deaths that Mr. Jones references in When I See You, that was specifically referring to June 5th of 2018, the town center shooting.
Yes, sir.
And we don't know, obviously, how he got that information, of why he's claiming that, or how he knows who shot them or anything like that, correct?
I'm sorry, I'm not understanding.
Sorry, bad question. Obviously, we don't know how Mr. Jones found out about that shooting or what information he has about that shooting, correct?
That's correct.
And the main reason was, again, just them as rival gang members, correct?
Yes, sir.
And all the videos, the drill rap videos we've talked about, Isaiah Chance isn't in any of those videos, correct? That
The
we've
ones
seen
we
here?
talked about, no, sir, he's not in them.
Okay. He's not mentioned in the ones we've talked about.
No, sir, he's not.
And he is, in fact, his own artist, correct?
Yes, he is.
Judge, that's all the questions I have.
Okay, very good. Mr. Sonardi?
Thank you, Your Honor. Morning, Detective.
Good morning.
When did you become a member of the gang unit with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office?
It'd be the fall of 2022.
22?
Yes, sir.
So these homicides that you've identified, that is, they're identifying it as Gerard Adams, the town center murders, Adrian, I think Gaines, also known as Bibby, Adrian McKnight, I think is Shug, and Antonio Tilley, I believe goes by Tilley. Those all occurred, is that prior to you becoming a part of a gang unit?
Some of them did, yes, sir, and some of them have not.
Okay. And so that the ladies and gentlemen of the jury are clear, there's no evidence whatsoever or suspicion that Davion Murphy was involved in any of those, correct?
No, sir.
And I'm to just say that there are at least 30 gangs in Jacksonville?
Yes, sir, approximately 30.
How many of them are you assigned to?
Just the one.
Just 12?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so some of the other ones are assigned to some of these other gangs that, of the remaining 27, I guess, that you're referencing, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, I'm trying to understand how it was that the drill rap videos that we heard, I believe it was Who I Smoke, Do It, and there was a third one. Correct, the 3 videos that we listened to?
Yes, sir.
When I See You, I apologize. Who I Smoke, When I See You, and Do It, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, what was your job as a gang member in identifying those videos?
So generally, like, how do I break down the video? Is that your question?
Yeah. Well, no, let's start with, how do you know what videos that you want to listen to?
The artist?
Just by the artist?
Yes, sir.
All right. And how many rap videos do you think are on YouTube and some of the other social medias?
A lot.
Thousands?
Probably more than that.
More than that, okay. And through those more than thousands of rap videos, how do you identify them by how? How do you identify those that you want to listen to?
By the artist.
By the artist? And
Yes,
that,
sir.
I would presume that artists you believe are from the Jacksonville area?
I generally listen to the songs that are related to gang members from Jacksonville, yes, sir.
Okay. Now, what is your musical background, Detective?
I don't have a musical background.
You play an instrument?
No, sir.
All right. But you were assigned to listen to these drill rap videos to try to interpret allegedly what they represent or what they say. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir, that's part of my daily job.
All right. But with no musical background whatsoever, correct?
Correct.
You play any musical instrument?
No, sir.
Can you read music?
No, sir.
All right. Now, did you use anything to assist you in attempting to interpret what you believe to be these rap videos were depicting?
Yes, sir, I'll use Google or Apple Music
All right.
The lyrics are posted on there.
If you would explain to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, when you say you use Google, how did you use Google?
So if you go on to Google and you type in if the song is like recorded and it's well known, the lyrics will appear on Google, and then instead of trying to listen to it, you can read the lyrics while they sing it.
All right, and is it fair to say, Detective, that if Google did not interpret the lyrics the way you believe they were being sung or rapped, you would change what Google told you, what Google indicated?
No, sir, I wouldn't change Google.
You didn't change Google?
I would not.
Well, would you amend Google?
No, sir, I'm not sure how to do that.
No, what I'm saying is what the interpretation of what Google gave you for that particular drill rap video, did you then change or make amendments to what Google was saying was being rapped?
No, sir, I don't think we're on the same page with this. I just read the lyrics and interpret them myself. Google doesn't tell me what the incidents mean. It just gives me the physical lyrics.
Does Google not interpret what the lyrics, what is being said on the rap video?
No, sir, that's for me to do myself, to interpret what each lyric means.
All right, so it's you and not Google, and Google was for what purpose then?
Google just gives me the lyrics. They don't tell me what they mean.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Maybe we're having a miscommunication here. When you run these rap videos through Google,
Yes, sir.
Google prints out what Google believes the lyrics are saying, is that correct?
Yes, sir. It prints out what they believe that the artist is saying through like closed captions, or if they're posted by the artist on Google.
And my question to you is that when you listen to those rap videos and your hearing is not consistent with Google, did you change what you believe to be on those rap videos?
No, sir.
You didn't do that?
No, sir.
I'm going to refer you to your deposition of September 24th, 2025, page 108, starting at line 7. Well, starting at line 4, I apologize. So these lyrics,
Object, Your Honor, for improper impeachment.
I'm sorry.
I'm going to sustain the objection as to the form.
Do you recall that deposition, Detective?
Yes, sir.
All right, do you recall this question, page 108, line 4? Okay, so
Object for improper impeachment.
so these lyrics as written, they're not what Google says they are, they're amended to what you say they are? Answer, line 7. What? They're amended to what I heard and what Google has. Question, well, Google has something, you print it, then you listen to it? Yes. Question, and you make changes to Google Translation? Answer, line 14, but maybe not to the song, but it might be to other songs. I don't know exactly what I did for each song. You changed it? Answer, line 19, I would change it, yes. Do you recall those questions and answers as to your amending the lyrics by Google?
I don't think I'm amending the lyrics by Google.
So your testimony back in September is that you did, and your testimony today is that you did not. Is that accurate?
I think I'm confused on your question today.
Now the rap video "Do It" that was done by Youngin Ace, is that how he pronounces it, Youngin?
Yes, sir.
All right. That was done immediately following the homicide of Charles Jones, correct?
It was released right after the homicide. Yes, sir.
Within a day or so.
Yes, sir.
And is it fair to say that in that rap video that are there claims to the killing of Charles Jones?
Not to my knowledge. I don't, without having the lyrics right in front of me.
Well, was Youngstown Ace ever a suspect initially because of that rap video for the death of Charles Jones?
I'm not sure of that answer.
Prior to Mr. Davion Murphy being taken into custody, you'd had no prior contact with Davion Murphy, correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
All right. Thank you, Detective.
Yes, sir.
Okay, redirect. Please, Ross.
Detective, I first want to ask you the questions about Google that you were just asked by Mr. Sonardi. Okay, so let's start there a little bit.
Okay.
When you are interpreting the lyrics from a song, do you listen to the song first and try to articulate what the lyrics in the song mean?
Yes.
Then do you have an opportunity to look at Google and see what, if anything, the translation is that's provided, and more so, really, Apple Music? So whatever lyrics have been input for the specific artist on Apple Music.
Yes.
Do you, as a detective or just as a civilian, have the power or ability to change anything that's on Google or Apple Music?
No.
Is that, as you understood Mr. Sonardi's question, as to whether you edited Google or Apple Music for the lyrics?
Yes, ma'am. That's what I thought he was asking me.
And had you ever edited the lyrics on those platforms when they were incorrect as to whatever the drill raps were actually conveying?
No, ma'am. I've never edited Google or Apple.
Now, in this particular case, did you have an opportunity to provide the specific lyrics that you had written out for each of the songs to the defense?
Yes.
And during the course of your deposition, were you confronted about those specific lyrics that you had typed out for these songs?
Yes, ma'am.
If Google had misinterpreted or AI had mistranslated whatever that lyric was when it put it on Google or Apple or whatever it was, did you actually articulate what the correct lyric was for the defense in providing those?
To my knowledge, yes.
Is that the only alteration or update that you made to music lyrics as you were describing to us a few moments ago?
Yes, ma'am.
Nothing as it would have related to actually changing anything on Google or Apple Music?
That's correct.
Now, on some of the bigger songs or the bigger artists, like Young and Ace, for example, are those songs uploaded and Apple Music also applying lyrics to those bigger songs?
Yes, they do.
For the smaller songs, we heard Mr. Isaiah Chance, or Gathright as a musical artist of his own. Are his songs those which are of the, I guess, volume or popularity that they also get Apple Music that does a translation and all of those things?
I don't believe his songs get translation from Apple.
When you don't have a translation, you do the same process of listening to the song yourself and sitting down and writing down the lyrics word for word?
Yes, ma'am.
But you don't have the ability then to cross-reference those lyrics to whatever would have been provided by Apple, is that right?
That's right.
Okay. What about the questions that were asked of you as to whether you studied music? Can you identify a musical key like C or G or something like that?
No,
The
I
pitch
can't.
of a musical key?
No, ma'am.
Can you read or hear when you're reviewing these music videos?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that are those the skills that you're utilizing along with the knowledge that you've gained in your position in Jacksonville to translate these songs?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there another detective in your gang unit that would be better suited to tell us the date during which or the date on which Charles Jones is actually a documented gang member?
Yes, there is.
And who is that?
Detective McCullough.
Is he specifically assigned to a particular group?
He's assigned to 6 block and the subsets of 6 block.
And does 6 block include Charles Jones?
It does.
You were also asked about social media and your review seen the individuals that you are observing on social media do something called going live.
Yes.
Can you explain for the jury what that means?
So going live is you go on your social media and it's an option that you can click and it shows live feed of what is going on at that time from your either front camera or back camera of your cell phone.
So it's a video recording in real time of the person.
Yes.
Have you had an opportunity to observe ATK members going live from social media?
Yes.
And during those live sessions or those videos of those members, are you able to see their face?
Yes, ma'am.
Based on your prior experience with ATK, are you able to identify them?
Yes, ma'am.
And while you watch these social media feeds or these social media posts, are you documenting either admissions or statements about this gang war that those members are making?
Yes, ma'am.
It is not all just social media posts like a photo that would be uploaded to the Facebook account or Instagram account of a particular member.
Correct.
But that is included in some of the things that you will see on social media, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
You were asked about some of the prior cases that we identified last week having arise out of Jacksonville. Are those the extent of the homicides that have happened in the gang war back and forth between ATK and 1200 and 6 Block?
No, ma'am. There's many more.
When you were asked about the killing of Joe Rod Adams, or Spaz, the one that occurred at Rains High School, Robert Howard, one of the witnesses in this case, was in fact convicted in that case, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
When you were asked about the shooting of, and in that particular case, Mr. Howard is 6 Block, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And Spaz is either documented or affiliated to 1200.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, the homicide of Adrian Bibby Gaynor, was Mr. Gaynor present with Mr. Howard when the shooting happened at Rains High School?
Yes, ma'am.
And although Mr. Howard, the witness in this case, was arrested a few days later, was Mr. Gaynor arrested
No, ma'am.
in connection with that case at all?
No, ma'am.
A few months later, when Mr. Gaynor is killed, are you able to identify the person who is ultimately convicted for that homicide?
Yes, ma'am.
And who is that?
Hakeem Robinson, goes by Queso.
And what gang is Hakeem Robinson a documented member of?
ATK.
You were asked about Trey D and Bibby and whether they were actually documented members of 6 Block because they were also killed?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that also a question that we should be inquiring of the 6 Block expert, Mr. McCullough?
Yes, ma'am.
You were asked about the killing of Avery McKnight, or Shug, and whether it occurred off of his bicycle. Are you familiar with the circumstances of that homicide? How it happened?
I don't know the exact details of it.
Are you aware that it was a drive-by shooting?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And the facts and circumstances surrounding it were gunshots from a moving vehicle.
Yes, ma'am.
And were there victims present outside of that vehicle that were running around?
I'm not sure.
Ultimately, do you learn that the final resting place,
Yeah, you're leading.
where is Avery McKnight's body found from that homicide?
I'm not sure.
Okay. You testified with Mr. Gonzalez on direct that he was on a porch. On cross, that he was on a porch. Is that accurate?
Yes.
But do you know where he was when he actually got shot?
No, ma'am.
Do you know any of the facts of that?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Would that have actually been before you came to the gang unit?
Yes, ma'am.
And was that one of the 2 offenses we spoke about last week that you did not actually respond to?
Correct.
You were asked about the death of Charles McCormick. Do you have the nickname for that individual?
Little Buck.
And was Mr. McCormick a documented 6 Block member?
Once again, I'm not sure about his membership or associate status, but he was definitely an affiliate of 6 Block.
Who was convicted of Mr. McCormick's murder?
Hakeem Robinson, Leroy Whitaker, Dominique Barner,
And were those individuals aligned to a certain gang?
ATK.
You were also asked about the homicide of Antonio Tilley that occurred in 2023, the fall of 2023. How many individuals have been arrested thus far for that homicide?
2.
And in the recent months, are there, or is that investigation ongoing?
It is.
Can you exclude the involvement of 6 Block with that murder?
No.
You testified about the attempted murder of Charles Jones, to which you responded to.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Gonzalez asked you if that offense was unsolved. Are there any individuals who were arrested for that offense?
Nobody's been arrested.
Have you received information that that offense was forensically linked to this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that through the firearms or the ballistics evidence?
Yes, ma'am.
You were,
Yes, ma'am.
are all of the members that you have documented, or all of the members that you have knowledge of that are documented ATK members, also rappers?
Not all of them.
Some of them are, to be fair. Is that correct?
Yes.
But not everyone repping ATK or wearing an ATK chain can you say you have knowledge of being a musical artist?
That's fair to say.
You were asked about the timing of documenting gang members as well. When is it that you learn of the information necessary to actually document a particular gang member? Is it before or after offenses occur?
It would just depend.
On the circumstances?
Yes, ma'am.
And then you were asked a lot about trolling or these music videos, these drill raps just being words. Based on your investigation and your involvement as a gang detective, do these music videos ultimately also result in shootings?
Yes, ma'am.
So in your investigation, there are real-life murders that actually occur on the other side of those music videos being posted.
Correct.
And as you've testified, are those murders also linked to the war between 1200 and ATK and 6 Block?
Yes, ma'am.
And understanding we've only talked about several incidents that occurred in Jacksonville based on the time that you've been with the agency or the information that you've obtained with the agency in your role as a gang detective. Have there been at least dozens, if not hundreds, of shootings or murders back and forth during this war?
Yes, ma'am. There's a lot.
Calls for speculation.
Overruled.
There's a lot. Yes, ma'am.
I have no further questions at this time, Your Honor.
Okay. May this witness be excused, subject to being recalled?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, detective. You're
Thank you.
excused for now.